We deeply appreciate you being here in the great state of Vermont. We take you as a full-timer anyway. And to all of you that are doing all the important work in the field that is allowing Vermont to be a critical leader at a critical time when others don't seem to get it. It's extraordinarily important, and I can't tell you how grateful I am to you for joining us in this journey. I am convinced, as you know, that if we do not scramble to get off of our addiction to oil, if we do not harness the wind and the sun and the woods and the fields and the water, if we do not succeed in having Vermont and the rest of the nation and the rest of the planet addicted to renewables almost immediately, that our planet will not be livable for my children's children and your children's children. And what baffles me at this time is that we're gathered in this room at a time when almost no one in public life is willing to talk about it, is willing to make it their top priority, and is willing to talk about not only the extraordinary importance of the short amount of time that we have, but also the extraordinary economic opportunity in the opportunity and the challenge that we have. And that's what I think is so striking. You know, here we are. I was listening to, I bet many of you heard this on NPR the other day, 3 days ago. Texas just took out of its curriculum a chapter on climate change relating to floods because climate change doesn't exist. I was at a conference in Ontario last week. Had the pleasure of sitting across the table from the president of Shell Oil and a contractor engineering company who's planning to build the Keystone Pipeline. And we were on these panels together. I was a fish out of water. I was the only voice there talking about what we are focusing on every day. They were talking about the economic benefits and job creation to building the pipeline. And I asked them, I said, when we have to start mining the land for oil, has it occurred to you that as the earth warms, and as Irene's hit Vermont, and if you didn't think Irene was enough, you know, the April and May floods weren't much fun either, I gotta tell you. You know, as we watch Vermonters have their homes, and their businesses, and their belongings, and their farms, and their fields, and their dreams wash down little teeny brooks that become raging rivers, has it occurred to you that maybe forgetting the dollar amount, that the human cost is too high? And they looked at me like I was I was so honored to be here today just to tell you this. Your action is critically needed, and we need to bring more people under the tent. There are so many ways that you can help right here in Vermont. Right now, as you know, we're waging a David versus Goliath war against an aging, leaking nuclear power plant whose people go on and can't tell the truth. We could use your help there. We're going to shut it down when it was scheduled to be shut down. But we could use your help in other ways too. And I'm convinced that the way that we will get the attention of the rest of America on this issue is by getting it right in Vermont. And we led, as you know, we were the first state in the country to abolish slavery. We were the first state in the country to do something so radical as to give women the right to vote. We were the first state in the country to pass marriage equality only because it was the right thing to do, not because judges were telling us that we needed to do it. But I think this is our opportunity. As we continue to grapple in a world and a state where people on average are making the same money they were making a decade ago, where the gap between the rich and the poor has never been wider. The top 1% keeps getting more and more of the resources. The other 99% continue to see less and less of the resources. As whether you're protesting Wall Street or protesting the simple fact that you can't pay your bills on Main Street, as people become more and more frustrated, what they're really looking for is economic opportunity and economic hope. And it seems that as long as we talk about climate change, we're not getting the attention of everybody that we need to get. It doesn't mean we should stop. But I do think that we should also talk by leading by example and showing the huge economic opportunity as we move from an oil-driven economy to one that finds different ways to power Vermont. We're not just talking about, building a few solar panels up at roller turbines, the best solar panels in the world, and shipping them all over the world. We're not just talking about building the best windmills in the country in Barrie at the old Bombardier factory that are driven by magnets instead of gears so the gears don't blow out in Northern Power Systems. We're building the components for electric cars as we move to electrification at SB Electronics right next door to Northern Power Systems. It's not just the components of renewables that's the economic opportunity, it's everything that we do. It's the extraordinary opportunity as we move to plug-ins from oil-driven cars. It's the extraordinary opportunity in rethinking the way we build our homes and our schools and our churches, every single construction job in Vermont. It's the opportunity in rebuilding the buildings we have and tightening them up so we use less resource. It's the opportunity in making Vermont best ag days ahead of us, not behind us, because we don't bring our tomatoes in from Chile and our gallons of milk in from California and Wisconsin, but we grow them right here in Vermont. Farm to fork, food to plate, giving our farmers the value-added product that they need to survive and thrive, while the rest of the farmers try to beat the agriculture. In fact, it's the economic opportunity in almost everything that we do that's going to get the rest of the country's attention. So let's focus not only on the need to educate and remind people about the climate imperative that faces future generations, let's also talk about the economic opportunity that we have to actually go back to a nation by being a state where everybody makes a good living, not just the top 1%, where we harvest the jobs and the economic opportunities that are available to us as we move from an oil-driven economy to other ways of using less power and ensuring that the power that we use is renewable. Thank you so much for everything you're doing at the grassroots. I say that we are just warming up. There's going to be fights. There's going to be controversy. There's no such thing as building any kind of power project that isn't controversial. But I'm convinced that together we can get it right in Vermont, and the rest of the country will wish that they were we. And with you on the ground making it happen, we will do it together in Vermont. Thank you so much.